Another vampire story came out. Another Lyft driver, vampires, different place though. This one was in Chicago. A lot of similarities, but also some differences. You guys tagged me in this one too. You gotta hear it. It's good.
There's a lady on TikTok talking about her encounter with vampires, so I'm as well talk about mine. This New Year's Eve, I was driving Lyft and I picked up an order, and it ended up being at like a place that used to be a church, but it wasn't a church anymore. Obviously, if you saw the festivities that was going on, there were like people with cloaks and like dark hair and heavy eyeliner, and there was like a red glow from the building coming out. 4 guys got into my car. As soon as they got into the car, I felt a chill. And yes, it was winter, but it was a different kind of chill. I turned around and looked at them, and I immediately knew they were vampires. And it wasn't even just like a thought. It was more so a knowing. Before they got into the car, I was thinking like maybe they were devil worshippers, because I had seen like a goat head and like the typical symbols that you see associated with that. But I was like, no, these are vampires. There were 2 brunettes and 2 blondes. They all had blue eyes. Not that mean anything, but their eyes were almost hypnotically blue. They were so clear, you could see through their, like, not their soul, but I can't even describe it. Their skin was white, but not white like crayon white, but it was very pale. But it was not a pale like, you know, some like white people are like, oh, I'm so pale. Even like red, people with red hair, how pale. It was still a different kind of pale, because even regular people, when they're pale, there's still some warmness to their skin. Like their skin looked cold. I don't know how to describe it, but it was more so the feeling of me knowing. Immediately, I start to panic. My heart is racing. I'm feeling like, is it too late to reject the call? Like, can I even ask them to leave the vehicle? And then I started thinking, okay, if I am panicking and my blood pressure is rising, then I'm like pushing more blood through my veins, which may mean that I may seem more appetizing to them. This is all stuff that's going through my mind. The man behind me, the blonde, who was like in the middle, touches my shoulder, and immediately it's like somebody poured warm honey over me. Like that is the calm just spreading down my body. It was like immediately I felt relaxed, almost like I was in a trance kind of there, but like watching myself. I can't even really describe it. And I knew at that moment that I wasn't necessarily in danger. So then the guy is like, well, our car is only a few blocks away, which I could tell from looking at the app. And he's like, but before we get there, we need you to answer a question. And you have to think very carefully about this. So now I'm like, okay, this answer is going to determine if I go home to my children or not. And it could just be my imagination and like me jumping the gun, and he could have been joking, but it didn't feel jokey. So he's like, okay, well, we have 2 separate cars. How would you group us together? Who should ride with who? What? So I'm like, I look back at them, and they're smiling and they're kind of giggling. Now their teeth don't look like regular teeth, but they don't look like the typical vampire teeth either. But they definitely did not look like human teeth. Their canines were a little bit more pronounced, but not in a dramatic, fake way. I can't even freaking describe it. And actually, if I had to describe them, to sketch them out right now, I couldn't even, because it's like they're a memory, but not like a typical memory, like a memory behind a memory. I can't describe it. But anyways, I knew it. I'm like, you're vampires. Yes. I heard the answer in my head. No, I'm looking at them through because I'm like, if they lunge for the jugular, I'm gonna crash us all. But I grouped the opposite hair colors together. And the guy said, well, why'd you do that? I said, I don't know. It just felt right. He said, excellent choice. He took out his phone and he's like, I'm going to start my car now. And I'm like, you can start your car from my car? And he's like, yeah, but we like you. You'll get home safe. Good. Like, you'll get home safe tonight. Have a good night. And I was like, yeah, I was kind of thinking that, you know, doing Lyft on New Year's Eve could be dangerous because, like, who knows what kind. I was trying to make it seem like I didn't think they were the danger, but just let them know, like, in case they heard me panicking. Oh, fucking went and saw the vampire. But anyways, they got out and they gave me my biggest tip of the night. You would think that would have been my last ride for the night, but no, I kept going. I made it home, and I didn't tell any other person about this story because, like, are you supposed to share vampire stories? I don't know. However, I just did. So just know that there are other beings in this world besides us, and maybe they're not all so dangerous.